Test 1, 2. Hey, how are you? I'm Denyn Pysz. I've been in the car business for over 20 years. Of course I'm cracking a beer, but it's non-alcoholic, so Capacity Brewery. I've worked closely with franchise auto dealers, vendors, marketing teams, service teams, sales teams, and I've seen enough F&I offices to develop a minor twitch every time I hear the term. So what kind of payment are we trying to stay around? So I've really seen how the business works. I've seen the good, the bad, and the undercoating. Fargo. So if you're interested to see the inside of how things work in a car dealership, welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to buy a car without getting destroyed. That's why I called it How to Buy a Car Without Getting Destroyed. Most people spend more time researching patio furniture than they do buying a car. Customers buy emotionally. They end up going to a dealership and the dealership negotiates professionally. So preparation changes everything. There's something called emotional urgency and fear of losing a deal, which puts you at a disadvantage at a dealership. So if you can eliminate emotional urgency and the fear of losing a deal, you're going to put yourself 10 steps ahead of them. An impulse purchase. Let's stay away from impulse purchases. Again, preparation. It's important. People sometimes will test drive one car and they'll immediately start mentally putting together a Spotify list. So people, the most important things that you should know as a customer are these 5 things. You need to, before, so in this segment I'm going to talk about what you need to do before you walk into a dealership. Number 1, your credit score. Go on Credit Karma, free, see what my score is. It gives you a ballpark of what you're working with. Number 2, your realistic payment options. Have an idea of what you want to pay. Be realistic. Know that it's going to be at least a minimum this, but you're not going to go any higher than this. That's important. It's not the be all end all, remember that. But it's important. Number 3, insurance cost. It's very simple to go to your insurance company and actually take the actual VIN of the car you're interested in, give it to them, either on the app or on the phone, or you can walk in there like my dad would, and you can ask them to replace your existing car because you're going to sell it or trade it in, and see what the difference is, and we'll see what your new monthly payment's going to be. You'd be surprised how many people don't do that and how shocked they are once they get to the dealership and they get their insurance company on the phone because they can't leave there without insurance, and boom, it just went up. Number 4, trade value. Now, if you are going to sell your car private party, which is what I recommend every time, do that. Great. We don't even talk about trade value. But if you're not, you're going to bring it to the dealership because it's convenient and hopefully you're not impulse buying, but you're taking it to the dealership. You need to know what your trade value is. KBB, duh. Go on there, figure it out. And obviously when you go on there, you see there is trading value and private party value. They're substantially lower. And I'll talk a little bit more about trade and get more into details of the dynamics of the dealership, but it's important for you to know what your car actually is worth at the dealership. Not what you think it's worth, but what it actually is worth based on what's out there. And the last one is approximate interest rate. So going back to the first one with knowing what your credit score is, you can plug in some auto loan calculators online, and you can look up, if you have a 600 credit score, you're most likely going to get this kind of interest rate. And it's going to dance in this area. Obviously, it has to do with loan term and down payment, but you'll figure it out. So let's use 8% as an example. Credit score is 600. You're probably going to have 8%. You got to put 20% down. Whatever it is, You then can arm yourself with the knowledge of like, okay, I have an idea of what they're going to kick back to me when I'm walking into finance. The preparation lowers stress. I can't stress it enough. See what I did there? I can't stress it enough that preparation lowers stress. So prepare, prepare, prepare. Why pre-approval matters is what I want to lean into right this second. If you can get pre-approved before you go to a dealership, you're going to be winning, because then there's really no surprises. And ideally, and I'll get into the finance component just lightly, but ideally, if you can get your own loan before you go in the dealership, you're approved. You're pre-approved with a deal ready to go. Now you just need to negotiate the price and walk out the door. So getting a pre-approval, and sometimes you can get pre-qualified, which is kind of a watered down version of pre-approval, because there's other dynamics that are fall into the pre-approval process. But at least get pre-qualified, so you have a really clear understanding. Maybe you went to your bank and went through the process. Maybe they ran a soft credit pull, so get an understanding what you're working with and get you a really nice framework of a deal. Then you can go to the dealership and work within that parameter. That's a huge help versus just walking in and saying, run my credit, here's how much I make, blah, 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 and then they come back with you. And I'll get into that deeper in a second. Now I want you to get a little bit of understanding of banks versus captive lenders. So we all know what a bank is. A captive lender is the lender that the dealership works with. And the captive lender is the actual bank financial institution of the OEM or the brand. So OEM is their fancy Spanishy way of saying brand. So Mercedes-Benz is the OEM. So the OEM has their own financial institution. Mercedes-Benz Financial is an example. And the dealer has a relationship with them, and they have certain programs and guidelines they need to follow, yada, yada. But they also have a pre-negotiated interest rate combination, meaning that they'll have an interest rate on a program, and they have the ability within a certain parameter to increase that rate so they can make that money on that difference. For example, 3-year finance deal, whatever, 20% down, blah, 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 those parameters, they're going to give it at 1.99 at Mercedes-Benz Financial, but then the dealership puts on another 1%. So it's 2.99 when they give it to you. So when you make your monthly payment every month, you're paying 2.9%. 1% of that payment is going to the dealership month after month until that loan is sold or you sold the car. The other relationship they have non-captive banks, which are like your Capital Ones, your Bank of America's, Chase. So it's highly likely that they have a relationship with your bank, which you have a relationship with your bank. And let's not keep pointing out the obvious, Mr. Obvious, but you have a relationship with your bank. So it does make sense to go to your bank first instead of them going to your bank. Because guess what? They also bump the rate of that relationship with that bank. So you literally could go to B of A and get 1.99 and go into your dealership and they're like, oh, we got this exact program from your bank. That's great. You're a B of A customer. We'll give you all the perks and plugs and blah, 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 for 2.99. You're like, well, hold on, bro. But they got to make money. So I'm going to give you these insider tips and tricks, but keep in mind, the dealership is designed, as I mentioned in the previous episode, they are a financial institution. They are a sales department. They are a service department. They make money at their dealership. That's why they wouldn't be around so successful if they didn't have multiple areas to make money. But I digress. The other area is credit unions. If you have a relationship with a credit union, that's most likely your best source of an auto loan. They have great programs. Some of them can't even touch the dealerships, but not everybody has a credit union. So if you have a credit union relationship, start there. See if you can get a deal with that, and then you can literally walk into the dealership with a check. And again, Bob's your uncle. The last one is that's it. I covered the 3, and I thought I had more. So what I'm going to go to is I got a lot of feedback that it's great that I go to these. A listener writes in. A listener, Michelle from Rancho Cucamonga, writes, Cucamonga, that's fun to say. It's like Francisco. I showed up planning to buy a super sweet 2007 white Honda Accord Sport, and the payment looked affordable online. You think I made it a little higher? Then I found that the insurance was almost $400 because of my driving record DUI. So perfect example, real world example from Michelle from Rancho Cucamonga is that she got surprised when she got to the dealership because she didn't get a pre-approval. She didn't understand what the credit score was. She didn't have that preparation done. And what does preparation do? Relieves hemorrhoids. No. Brings stress down. So customers should only focus, customers, unfortunately, usually only focus on three things: payment, down payment, and appearance. That's a no-no. And they ignore the insurance, the depreciation. Man, you getting to me already, girl. Insurance, depreciation, maintenance, and repair costs. So those four are so crucial to understand. We already talked about insurance. I don't need to beat that dead horse. But you should understand what the depreciation element is in the car that you're about to buy. It's called the residual value. So how long does it hold its value and how quickly does that diminish? And so when you go to resell the car, is it going to have a higher likely high value or higher likely to have a lower value? So you can look that up now. Look up your 2026, Kia Soul, whatever you're going to rock, and find out what it potentially could be worth in 2028 with, 40,000 miles on it. So you can do that and get an understanding of what your vehicle is going to potentially be worth, and you understand what the depreciation value is of it. If you'd have done it on your car you own right now, you would already know how upside down you are in it or how much equity you have in it or whatever. So you would already know these things because you knew you were going to probably sell it in 2 to 3 years. But the other two areas that most people it doesn't even cross their mind is maintenance costs and repair costs of the lifetime of the vehicle, of your ownership, lifetime ownership. So if I'm going to buy this car and I know I'm only going to keep it for 3 years, okay, let me type into my old trusty ChatGPT, 2017 super sweet Honda Accord Sport, and then I'm going to put 50,000 miles a year on it. Now, it's going to kick out. You're going to spend this much money in repair potentially, because this is the type of car that has these issues typically. And then also how much maintenance it's going to cost you with oil change and brakes and tires with that kind of driving conditions. So this gives you a really great little inside baseball look of how much it's going to cost you total to own this car. Insurance, car payment, cost of ownership, maintenance and repair. You walk in with those things in mind and don't ignore those. And if you only focus on payment, down payment, and appearance, you're screwed. You walk in those other ones, you're not so screwed. So keep those things in mind. And it's really easy to pull up that data. You can go to AAA, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to a lot of different resources to find out the maintenance and the repair cost of that ownership of that vehicle. Section 2, trade-ins. So again, I don't recommend it. It's not the easiest thing to do to sell car, private party. Most people don't like doing it. My brother-in-law didn't even want to sell my parents' pool table for him because he thought it was just too cumbersome to take one picture of it and throw it up on Facebook Marketplace. Your boy did it in between takes on a movie set. I sold it in 2 seconds, $175. They bought it for $100. I don't know what that means. But if you don't sell your car private party and you want to take it into a dealership, let me explain to you a couple of the dynamics that affect that entire process. The number one thing that most consumers do is they emotionally overvalue their vehicle. Hands down, emotionally. Every customer thinks that their trade-in's immaculate. Well, handing over the keys, all the car smells like is old French fries and bad decisions. So the key to keep in mind is that the dealership, they evaluate 5 things. There's other little moving parts within these 5s, but in general, they're evaluating that vehicle based on auction value. Some people don't know that dealers, just because they take in their trade-in, almost all of them will take in every single trade no matter what, because they got their hooks in you at that point. We're doing a deal, so I'll take your car. Yeah, I know we're a Ferrari dealer and you're bringing in a 1982 Pinto. I get it. They'll take it in, but they're going to send it to auction, or they have a broker, or they're just going to drive it off a cliff. Whatever the deal is. But the auction value is key because a lot of times they don't have any intention of selling it at the dealership. And so they have a program, software, whatever you want to call it, and they type it in, then we know what the auction value is probably going to be on this vehicle. So they can say, oh, okay, I can sell it at auction and I'll probably make this much. So they calculate it in so they can make their margin. The other area is recon cost. How much is it going to cost to recondition this vehicle? Because you decided to bring it in with 4 different tires from 4 different tire manufacturers, scuffed up wheels, crack in the windshield. Back up. Fix all that stuff before you do that. Because no matter what, any way you slice it, that's going to cost way more at the dealership, as we all know, to fix anything. But to recondition your vehicle, bring it in as great as you can make it. So prepare to trade in your vehicle. Fix all that. You will save in the long run. Wash it, detail it, make it look beautiful. Put some of that little Christmas tree that smells like coconut in there. You got it all. Dial it in. Make it the best representation you can so you can get top dollar. But if you don't, they're going to factor that in. And they're going to, I got to drop about 3 G's in this thing in order to just get it up and running. And also they certified pre-owned their own makes at the dealership. So if you are trading your Toyota to go buy a new Toyota, they're probably going to try to certify and pre-owned it. There's limitations and guidelines that they have to follow. But that's a whole nother ball of yarn. Where you at, Walter? Yarn. Whole nother ball of yarn that they have to do certain things. New brakes, new tires, no matter what condition you're doing. So think about those things, and the recondition cost is going to affect your trade-in. Accident history. A little hot tip. Dealers typically have a Carfax account, so they just run Carfax history requests on every vehicle they're considering. And even if you don't trade in the car, you can get a copy of that Carfax. They'll give it to you. I just saved you $40. Go ahead, hit that Cash App button at the bottom of the screen and just shoot me over, half of it. Kidding. I don't even think I have any buttons on the bottom of the screen. So, accident report, that's it. That's obviously going to affect, I really don't have to elaborate too much on that, but come on, you get it. If you bang the car up, dude, they're not going to be exactly happy to take it in. Tire condition. Dealers really don't make any money on tires. That's why when you walk into a dealership, you usually don't see stacks of tires, and they usually don't offer you to replace your tires every single minute, every single time, because they don't make a lot of money on it. So when they do have to replace tires, you sure as can bet they're going to be like, this sucks. Because for one thing, do you know how much your tire costs for your car? Like off the top of your head, Mercedes, like $1,200. Honda, like $250, $300. It's substantially different. And that's just the tire. Let's not even talk about the rims, because you scuffed them up, or like you only got one good eye, or whatever it is, or you let your Uncle Stevie Wonder drive your car and all 4 tires are scraped up. The last part is market demand. This is important for you to do some research ahead of time. You can look up how many cars are available right now in your year, make, and model right in that zip code. Do that. How many super sick 1982 green Pintos are for sale right now? None. Oh, there's a high demand for them. No, so look that up, because the dealer's going to factor that in too. If there's a low demand for your car, they're not likely going to want to give you a lot of money for it, because they're going to immediately send it to auction. But if it's a high demand and they know they can sell it really quick and make the biggest margin on it, of course, they're going to give you the most bang for your buck. Let me explain something, why dealerships, what they don't care about. They don't care about emotional and sentimental value. But I made the first base in 1992 with Danielle Martin in that Honda Accord. Whoop. And they're also not going to care about aftermarket modifications. Just in time, another writer, my boy Pete from Vegas, he writes in, "Yo, Denyn, I traded in my super sweet lifted lime green F-150 and it had $14,000 worth of custom wheels, lift kit, lights, and a detachable Kenwood stereo. And I was furious. The dealership didn't add all of it to the trade value." Well, Pete, thought you were smarter than that, because Pete's in the car business. It's foreshadowing, because he's going to be in next week's episode. And he's going to be mad I told that story. Then, let me explain to you. Aftermarket accessories rarely hold value, and even modified vehicles, it actually might reduce the value. So you could put a bunch of stuff on your car and the dealer doesn't care. A lot of times they take it all off because they know that they have a better chance of selling it, and they can aftermarket that stuff themselves, put it on other vehicles, whatever. But and then also think about it. You think when Hung Tran over here trains in his Honda Civic in Westminster with the 4-foot spoiler on the back, you think that the dealership's gonna keep that on there? No. I mean, it looks dope. Hung's pumped on it. I'm pumped on it. But they're going to take it off because they're not going to be able to even sell that thing. They can put a regular spoiler on it, the little 4-incher. Last part of the segment, last of the episode is negotiation reality. This is pretty straight to the point. Great negotiators are calm, informed, direct, and respectful. Calm, the opposite of me, informed, direct, and respectful. Bad negotiators are aggressive, unrealistic, emotional, and they're trying to YouTube alpha the salesperson. Nothing will make a salesperson mentally check out than hearing, my buddy says you guys just are super desperate at the end of the month. So you need to walk into a dealership, keep your wits about you, be prepared because it reduces stress. Be calm, informed, direct, and respectful. That will put you miles ahead of everybody else that's walking in there. And here's the trick customers miss. Let me take a sip of the old Capacity Mexican lager. Not a sponsor yet, but a buddy of mine. It's good stuff. Try it. It allows you to drink beer in the middle of the day while you're working, and the boss doesn't get on your case because it's beer with zero alcohol. Anyways, went down a little bit of a digression right there. So here's the trick that customers miss. And some of you already know this, but I want to explain it thoroughly. Dealerships can move numbers around endlessly. They have something they created back in the Stone Age, I think with a stone tablet and a hammer, called a 4-square. It is literally a cross, not a 6-pound, 7-ounce baby Jesus cross, but a cross with 4 different sections in it. The dealers now can take these 4 main elements of your deal and cut the dope any way they want. Inflate the trade allowance. How much money do you want to give you for your car? So if you don't have a trade, hey, guess what? That comes out of the 4-square equation. Extend the term. They have the ability to push out the term because they already know the banks they're working with. They've already landed your car on your deal with your credit score, blah, blah, blah. They got these 2, 3, 5 banks and they're like, all right, cool. They can extend the term. Why would you not want them to extend the term? It's pretty obvious. It reduces your monthly payment, yes. But it also reduces your principal being paid down because now we've pushed it way out to 7, I think they have 96-month terms, which is bananas. You do the math and figure out what that is. I think that's like 7.5 or 8 years or 12 years. I think it's 50 years. It's a 50-year loan. So they can extend the term in order to get you a lower payment, which they can increase the interest rate. So they can increase the interest rate to make a little bit more money. It's going to make your payment go up a little bit higher, but you're going to see the movement. They're going to increase or decrease the interest rate. If they decrease the interest rate, which will help lower your payment, they're going to ask for more money up front. They're going to adjust the term. They're constantly just moving around. And then the final area is going to reduce the vehicle discount. So a lot of people don't know this, but most dealers don't make a lot of money on their cars they sell. In another episode, I'll get into the relationship with their OEM, their brand, and units sold, they get kickbacks. But dealers make so much money in other areas. That's why I'm not talking about it to expose them. I'm talking about it to make you aware as a customer that they're going to make money in other areas. It's not a lot of money over here. It's not a lot of money over here, but it's a lot of money in a bunch of different areas because that's their business. And so in this scenario with this 4-square, they can give you a great discount on the car. Be like, hey man, owner can walk over. Hey, oh, shucks, man. I'm not making anything on this car. I'm literally giving it away from you. Give it away. I'm literally giving it away to you. He's probably telling the truth. There's a good chance he's probably not making much money on the car from the sales price. So it's important to know that they can move these numbers around. And so it's important for you to always evaluate 4 things. Total out the door price. Once you guys finalize the price, what are all the other items on there? You haven't even gotten into sticker and all the things on there and the things that are permanent and things that can be removed. But what's the total out the door price and get for this car? Period. And that's even going to change potentially when you get in the F&I office, which is next week's episode. And we really get into it. I mean, I'm probably not going to go non-alcoholic that week, especially I'll be with my boy Pete. I think I'm going to be in Vegas, so it's going to be pretty fun. We might be on the golf course. You know what? I just don't know. I'm crazy. We just do crazy stuff on the show. And when I say we, him, and him. My boys, which is just the people in my head. Total out-the-door price. These are the things I want you to evaluate. Interest rate, loan term, and total cost of ownership. So we broke all that down earlier of how to have those things understood for you to do the final negotiation. But if you have an idea what the total out the door price is, you already knew because you did a pre-approval and you knew what your credit score was when you walked in the door. And then they did a hard hit on your credit. So you know exactly what your interest rate should be and your loan term and then your total cost of ownership. Because if you think about it, if I walked in there and said, I only want to spend $500 a month, but then I looked up total cost of ownership which also the dealer's happy to do with you and for you at the dealership. It's not like they're trying to hide it from you. And when we talk about an F&I, they actually do that on purpose because they want to show you how much it's going to cost to maintain this thing because you should buy a prepaid maintenance. We'll talk about that next week. I'm getting a little farther ahead of myself because it's a short week. I'm trying to, crank this baby out and move on to the next, But the total cost of ownership is very important because if it is $1,000 a year in repair and maintenance, that's like another $83 a month if you were to spread it out over the 12 months. So now I'm paying $583 a month instead of $500. So you think about that kind of math. So to wrap this up, baby, the best deals come from patience, preparation, and emotional control. I like to call it PEPEC. Patience, preparation, and emotional control. They don't come from fake intimidation, screening matches, and pretending to leave 14 times. I call that the goal when buying a car is to leave the dealership with transportation. Next week.